Welcome to a platform where we debate on the top stories of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other leagues with the best in the world of sports. You'll also get interviews with many athletes and media talents at several basketball events, including the WNBA and college basketball. My name is Rafiq Ulwazon, and this is Nothing But That Sports Talk.
Charles sees the double. Kick out. Gray finding Ryan Howard, beating the clock.
Short shot, quick throw, good move, and despite hanging onto the shirt into the end zone goes Alan Lazard. Rogers the fake, throw, caught, staying inbounds, yes, touchdown. Garrett Wilson.
With all that, the WNBA season has come to an end, and the Jets go up 2-1. As I welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk, Rafiq Ulwazon, alongside Geoff Magliocchetti. How's everything doing?
Rafiq, thank you for having me. You do awesome work on here. Always a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, it's always good to have you on. And another season has come and gone in the Liberty land. The C4 CD. The Liberty, another 32-8 record. And just like last season, they ended the season with a loss. But hopefully things go in their favor like they did last year when they end the season, losing to the Mystics, only to take them out in the first round anyway. But this time, it's the Atlanta Dream. And a lot of people, I don't know if you remember this, Geoff Magliocchetti, and I know you weren't covering the WNBA at the time, but the Dream and Liberty did have a playoff matchup in the conference finals of 2010, and the Dream knocked them out on the way to the WNBA finals and losing to the Seattle Storm. So, what you thinking about this matchup with the Atlanta Dream and the New York Liberty?
Well, I think it's very interesting in the sense that, I had a lot of Liberty fans, fill my mentions on X saying, oh, I want Chicago, I want Washington, I want Atlanta. I never subscribe to that theory because the WNBA in this day and age, Coach Sandy Brondell talked about it yesterday. There is so much parity in this league. We are nearing a point where anybody could beat anybody. We see so many occasions where, certain teams can play their best game of the season, the best game of their careers in some cases out there. We saw it so many times throughout the year. And we are seeing teams right now, like we're at a point where the Indiana Fever, led by Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, they're a 500 group and they're in sixth place right now. Now, granted, they're not at the full height of their powers quite yet, but at the same time, it's still interesting to see that, a team can be towards the bottom a little bit and still be stocked with that kind of caliber, that kind of talent. Look at the Las Vegas Aces, as a matter of fact. They had some injuries at the start, and now they're playing now they're in the fourth seed. They're going to be playing the 5. So, there is no easy matchup, no matter which way you look at it. So I think the Liberty knew that from the get-go. They knew what they were getting into with that 1 seed. They knew that there was going to be no easy matchup moving forward. But you know what? I think Atlanta can give them a fight. They certainly proved that last night, didn't they? So I think that they can give them a fight. But I think that New York, as long as they play their potential, as long as they figure things out, as long as they know what to do, and I'm pretty sure they do. They know what's at stake here. They've mentioned it from the get-go. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what's on the line this time around. So as long as the Liberty play to their abilities and play to their identity and play to who they are, I think they should be fine in this series.
Yeah, they should. But it can't just be Sabio Descu, Blanche Lady, Brianna Stewart, or Jonquil Jones putting up 20 and 30 on any given night basis. The bench had to step up, including certain Liberty player that you wrote about, Nara Sabali. And I read your article, good stuff, by the way, when you talk about the type of player she can be for the New York Liberty, the hidden gem that the Liberty have had, not just on the low post, but hitting the mid-range shot. And what is it like when you made that article talking about Nara Sabali, like what are some nuggets can you tell the people that haven't read your article yet?
Well, first of all, thank you for reading. And I think what's interesting about Nara Sabali, she is, technically speaking, the most valuable acquisition the Liberty made this offseason in a way. I know she's been in the system. I know she's been around, but this is what I mean by that. I mean in the sense that New York was able to mostly get through this offseason, mostly unscathed, mostly quiet. They could restock for a championship run under the cover of so many other moves. You had the Aces celebrating back-to-back titles. You had the hullabaloo of the NCAA tournament and the draft. You had players going different places and whatnot. So the Liberty were able to restock in secret pretty much. And Niara Sabally was part of that. Last year's spell option to Jonquel Jones was Stephanie Dolson. Very talented, very strong, very impactful, as we saw in Washington this year. Partook in the 3-point contest, I believe. Wow, it seems like forever ago. But I think that what's interesting about Sabally, who replaced Dolson in that role, Sabally is more of a traditional interior type. Dolson, God bless her, ran around, shot threes, wanted to shoot from the outside, wanted to do everything, which is, something you need to survive in today's basketball world. It's something that, it's necessary. Centers and forwards and power forwards are not expected to, camp out under the glass anymore. You have to have some sort of shooting ability, it feels like. You have to contribute to the score sheet in any way you can. Sabally is more a powerful weapon of a bygone era, and I compare that to what, I hate making comparisons, from the women's game to the men's game, but I compare that a little bit to what the Knicks currently have in Mitchell Robinson, in the sense that, these two are traditional post types. These two are traditional, are more of more of the duties you'd expect from a center / power forward. This is what they do, and they camp out under glass. They use their bodies. They move around. They grab the rebounds. They don't take shots from too far away. They know their limits. They know their purpose, and that special weapon, that niche skill, really pays off in the long run. We saw what it did for the Knicks during the early portions of last season, really helped stabilize them in the early going when, Julius Randle, it took some time to regain his footing after the ankle injury. And now Niara has come in and kind of really been a very reliable spell option if Jonquel Jones finds herself in foul trouble or, just needs a rest from time to time. Jonquel played 31 minutes last night, which was the most she's had in a long, long time. So, and now Sabally is she's an undeniable part of the New York rotation right now. And, she's been through a lot, She missed her entire rookie season due to an injury. She averaged less than 8 minutes a game last year, but now she is in a major role at this point. And I believe right now she's ranked 4th since September 1st. She is ranked 4th in defensive rating out there, behind only 2 players from the Minnesota Lynx. I believe it's Alana Smith and Courtney Williams, and her, ironically enough, her New York Liberty and Germany teammate Leonie Fibish. So I think this is a great push for the Liberty moving forward. And, she can be a true X factor down the line, especially considering she's one of the biggest differences from last season, being a de facto acquisition that really, is playing to her strengths right now.
Exactly. And it's all because of that the Liberty had a type of record the first place. And granted, they still match. All they did is just match the win total from last year. But the fact of the matter is, this time around, it was enough for the number 1 seed. And that's going to be very helpful. And don't forget that, as you saw in last night's game, Sherrod was put into work when she had more minutes. She was using her minutes and show you that even in a meaningless situation, she can carry a team. And then, and of course, you already talked about Leonie Fibish. How important will Sherrod and Fibish be going into the postseason against Atlanta Dream?
I'm not sure if it's in terms of Sherrod, I'm not sure whether she will continue to hold such a role like this. I mean, it was great to see what she was able to do last night, no doubt about it. It's hard not to pull for Jalen Sherrod. Undersized, gained herself a bit of a cult following over the preseason, and now played herself into a rest of season contract. But does that get you to a point where she's able to partake in playoff games? I'm not fully sure. I feel like, Brondello knows her rotation. She knows what she wants to work with. And you know what? Maybe she could. I feel like Sherrod has earned herself more minutes, but does that mess with the chemistry at this point? Does that mess with what the Liberty have established to date? Now, Sherrod did get some valuable minutes last night. She worked a lot with, like I said, Jonquel Jones playing 31 minutes last night. I believe Benajelani Hamilton stayed on the floor a little more. The starters had to a little bit because Ivana Dojkic sat out with a back injury last night. So I think that, while it's great to see Sherrod, get on the floor a little bit, it remains to be seen whether, that's going to keep up come postseason time. Now, Leonie Fibish, on the other hand, she has been, really just, another hidden gem for this New York group. And she will very deservedly be in the discussion for the all rookie team and the sixth woman of the year vote. So I think that's going to be interesting to see what she can do, because over this past month, I think Fibish has done really well with her length-owning Fibish, I like to call her sometimes, because of the way she extends possessions with her length. She has a fantastic wingspan. She's basically become what the Liberty lost when Beck Allen almost became a necessary casualty of the assembly of all-stars era. I know the Liberty hate the super team label, so I've been calling them the assembly of all-stars. So I think that she's a fantastic response that has really developed her game throughout the season. And again, since September 1st, her defensive rating has been through the roof. She knows her role. There's no ego involved on any side. She well could start, for the way she's performing, she well could start for at least, I want to say, maybe half the teams in this league. I mean, I got to look at the whole depth charts. I got to look at all the starting lineups. But at the same time, what she's been able to do. She's, again, she was someone who was an under the radar move in the sense that, she wasn't creating headlines when she signed with the Liberty. It wasn't, must see TV when she signed with New York. But at the same time, she's turned herself into must see TV. She has turned herself into a marquee player. She has turned herself into an award nominee and someone well deserving of postseason accolades. So, it's really going to be interesting to see what her first postseason experience is like, at least on the American level, because she knows what's like through, European endeavors, Olympic endeavors, pushed Germany to the knockout round in the program's first Olympic experience. So really interesting to see, in the sense that, she's a rookie, but not really.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned a good part about she's not being the big noise, not being this, not being that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what I keep saying. Like back when we had Katie on the show earlier this year, that she's like one of my sleeper players in the WNBA right now, and the New York Liberty roster in general. She had to literally show what she could do on the court before we could say, oh, she might be the useful piece the New York Liberty need in order to win the WNBA championship.
This is Sherrod you're talking about?
You're talking about Fibish.
Oh, Fibish, excuse me. No, it's a total X factor, and it's a fantastic little move from Jonathan Colbin Company. I believe Fibish came over. She came over, I believe, in the was it the Michaela Onyenwere trade? Because I believe it came from one of these deals. I could be wrong about that. Do not quote me on that, but I believe it was a very under the radar deal. It was somewhere where they acquired her draft rights and whatnot. But it's a very nice under the radar signing, because let's be real. It doesn't matter what level of sport it is. A supposed super team, and again, I know they hate that label, a supposed super team is only as good as its role players and Death Stars take you. But what the Liberty have assembled at this point in time is something that can be sustainable on both the first and second levels right now, because the second level has really come through. One of Jonathan Colbin's best moves he could have made was extending both Menai Hamilton and Kayla Thornton right before last year's playoff run. That could go down in the long run as his magnum opus. And, the same thing could be said about, the trust of Niara Sabali. So it's really great to see that these players have stuck around and have played a part in the ongoing success. And it could make a major difference come the latter stages of this fall. Come the latter stages of this fall.
Exactly, and now it's all a matter of whether or not they can slow down Ryan Howard, and of course, it's her former Liberty player, Tina Charles, who broke the record for most rebounds and the doubles in the WNBA history. When you saw that happen at the Barclays Center, a former New York Liberty breaking those records, what does that have you thinking about in terms of what Tina Charles is right now as she's coming back to the WNBA this season?
Better there than Westchester. Let's leave it at that. But that's the first thing I thought of. But congratulations all around for Tina Charles. That was great to see last night, and nice to see the Liberty offer her a tribute after she got the all-time rebounding record, passing Sylvia Fowles in both categories, by the way. So very good for her. Very happy for her. And, and this is also what makes Atlanta dangerous. Two things. Number one, the traditional sense, and they have nothing to lose. It's a miracle they've been here right now. They've spent most of this season on the outside looking in, only reaching the 8th seed toward the end. So they got absolutely nothing to lose right now. And the second thing is they've been playing postseason basketball. They've been playing playoff basketball for basically a month at this point. They've been fighting for their lives. They've been scrounging out victories. They've been clawing their way back. So the dream could well be a nightmare at certain points in time. While I do think the Liberty do have the edge, I think it's going to be a lot to ask for Atlanta to prevail in 3 games in a row in Brooklyn at Barclays Center. But I do think that they're capable of giving the Liberties at least some semblance of a series out there.
Exactly. And with that, let's just make our predictions for the WNBA playoffs as well. Yeah, the Liberty Atlanta Dream. I mean, obviously, how many games do you think it's going to go? Who you have winning?
I'll say Libs in 2, but at least one of those games is going to be close.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Las Vegas Aces going up against Seattle Storm. You remember what happened the last 2 times they met? The Storm breezed away to the Las Vegas Aces in the bubble in 2020. And 2 years later, in just 4 games, the Aces got their revenge on the way towards the franchise's first championship. But this is a totally different roster. I mean, we know what happened with Brianna Stewart. We know what happened with Sue Bird. We don't need to keep going over and over and over again. But this is the Seattle Storm makes no time return to the playoffs after acquiring Nico Gumick and Skylar Tiggins-Smith. Skylar Tiggins-Smith who hasn't played over a year, and Nico Gumick, who has really showed much of herself when she was in Los Angeles, but now she's literally showed what she could do. And Anthony McAbor, that's going to be those. They could give the Aces someone a run for their money.
Lest we forget Gabby Williams as well, by the way.
Gabby Williams. Yeah, you know what happened with Gabby Williams in the Olympics, who was literally a toe away from forcing overtime against USA. That was just. I mean, we happy for USA, but that shot would have been different if she took a few steps back. What do you, Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant was full Leo pointing at the TV screen with that one, right? I think that don't underestimate the Storm at all. I feel like a lot of people have written them off, and that's not right. I do think Vegas will win the series, but that series is going to be a lot closer than people anticipate. I do believe it will, at the very least, get back to Seattle because Ezzy is very capable of matching up with Wilson in the interior. I think that's going to be an interesting battle to keep an eye on. It'll be one of the more exhilarating battles of this postseason tournament. So Aces in 3, but it is far from easy.
Yeah, far from easy. A'ja Wilson's going to have to continue to be the A'ja Wilson we've seen all year. A'ja Wilson that has broken the record for most points and rebounds in a single season and had a buzzer beater against Chicago Sky. I mean, come on now. A'ja Wilson, she's not messed around. Remember what she said last year when she lost the MVP in the year where they did win the championship? I mean, seriously. She knows that not everybody gets to accomplish what she has, but at the same time, she was hungry to get the MVP this time, averaging about 28 points. Like, seriously.
Look, I've said several points that it's hard for anyone from Las Vegas or New York, for that matter, to win the MVP because there's so much talent around. It's hard for one player to stand up and truly put the V in MVP. I've said for a while that I felt like if I had a vote, I would have given it to Napisa Collier, who has done impressive. But at the same time, when you get to these levels of accomplishment that A'ja Wilson has reached, it's hard to take that away from her. It's hard to deny that. I don't care where you are in the standings because, there's a sense that you take Wilson away from Vegas, they're probably still a top 6 team. You take Collier from Minnesota, I'm not so sure if they're number 2 right now. So I feel like I have to acquiesce to it. I don't want to say it was bullied into it, but, I do say, it's hard to deny Wilson her flowers at this point. I don't know how you can at this point. I don't know what took me so long, but at the same time, props to Fee as well. But I'm very interested to see if it'll be unanimous this time around, especially considering last year's vote. So interested to see how that pans out.
Yeah, and since we're on the subject of talking about Napisa Collier, how about the Minnesota Lynx, who's having the best season since the dynasty they built in the 2010s?
Wow.
I mean, they're going to go up against the Diane Taurasi-led Phoenix Mercury. And
that's right. I mean,
the first matchup that they've had ever since the bubble year where the Minnesota Lynx took them out in just a single elimination game. And that was pretty much the last time they advanced past a round.
Mm.
Even though it was a single elimination game, the fact of the matter is that was the last time they were in the WNBA semifinals. Right now, the Lynx have really improved a lot. They not missing the beat. What you thinking about this Minnesota Lynx and Phoenix Mercury matchup, and who do you think's winning this one?
I'll say the Lynx in 2 on that one because, unfortunately, not everything can have a storybook ending. Like, you'd at least love to see Diana get one more game in Phoenix. If this is it, of course. I know that's a rallying cry in Phoenix going around right now. If this is it, but I do think the Lynx will take that in 2. The Minnesota has proven time and time again it's not interested. It's not interested in your in your storybook ending. It cares only about reestablishing its place on the top. I say the Lynx take that one too.
Yeah, Minnesota, they've proven that even with just Lisa Collier and Kayla McBride, who's actually played in the finals at one point, and Letitia Heineman, they have the defense and the offense to win. And you don't need no major super team. All you have to do is just get 2 players plus role teams. And the Dallas Wings coach once said, there's 12 super teams in the WNBA. It's just about them figuring out how to play together when it matters the most.
That's a fair point.
Now, to wrap up the predictions for the WNBA playoffs, the Indiana Fever against the team that Caitlin Clark started her WNBA career, and it's the Connecticut Sun. Yeah, who do you have winning this one?
And I have the Sun winning that one. I mean, again, it would be a nice.
Sun? What?
Pardon?
You say you had the Sun?
I do. I very much do. And again, it's great to see Caitlin Clark succeed. It's great to see Aaliyah Boston continue to succeed. It's great to see Kelsey Mitchell continues to succeed out there. I feel like her breakthrough season has kind of gone under the radar a little bit, but I feel like, this is not the Fever's final form, and, they will be dangerous. They will be very dangerous. I could see them easily pushing this to 3 games. And it honestly won't surprise me if they did pull this one off, but I think Connecticut is just a little too motivated right now. They're going to want to they're going to want to prove against a different brand of competition that last year was no fluke. That Stephanie White continues to have this team going in the right direction. It'll be close, but I say the Sun take this one.
That's a very interesting point. I got the Suns winning too. Now we get to the possible semifinals. I mean, you got the Sun going up against the Minnesota Lynx and the Liberty and the Aces, rematch of last year's finals. But let's get with the Liberty and Aces. I mean, I know you said months ago that this would be anticlimactic, but if this match would have come to fruition, it would. How exciting would a second round match to the Aces Liberty be compared to a WNBA Finals matchup last year?
I mean, it would obviously pale in comparison, but at the same time, I think that New York is better prepared for a matchup with Vegas this time. We saw that on at least 2 occasions this year. You almost can't really count the third, considering Wilson sat out for that one. But again, it all comes down to the backcourt play, and I think that as long as they're on their game, but we see at different points of the season, excuse me. Different heroines have risen up for the Liberty on a consistent basis. I know Breanna Stewart won MVP last year. She doesn't get off to the greatest start, but she has kind of held them, kind of sustained them a little bit in this second half. So I feel like she's going to take her game to another level this time around. So I think that of course it's going to be anticlimactic. I mean, it's not the finals, so I think that. I think they're much better match this time around, the Liberty for the Aces. They have the right depth. Again, they have the niche weapons that can really prove a difference this time around in Phoebish and Sabley. So I think they're much better matched this time around.
Yeah, exactly. How many games do you think is going to go? And I mean, obviously you want the Liberty to win. How many games do you think is going to go?
I mean, it's a little early for that. Let's get through the first round first. I mean, Seattle could give them a series, but it won't be a sweep. Let's leave it at that. But let's up the drama. Let's say 5.
Okay, you have Liberty 5.
Sure.
All right. Now on to the other semifinals matchup. You have the Lynx and the Sun. You saw how things went in the last game. It really went on out until Bridget Carrington hit the game-winning shot. Who thinks win the series in how many games?
I think the
finals matchup happens.
Man, it's a tough one. I think Minnie will take it. I mean, they've really improved, considering that their big addition was Maisha Hines-Allen. And again, it's the depth that gets you through. It's the depth that really succeeds and really pushes teams forward. A supposed super team, again, only as good as your Death Stars take you. And we've seen Minnesota really start to flourish once Hines-Allen, Natisha Hiedeman really started to flow within the system, and they have that Italian shooter as well. Cecilia, I really don't really want to mispronounce her name. Yeah, look at my last name. I like I've had to deal with that, right? But but I think that again, that is really going to take them far this time. So valiant effort for Connecticut, but in a hypothetical matchup between these two, I think Minnesota has the edge.
Yeah, slightly. I mean, I'm gonna pick Minnesota to win this one, but it's gonna take 5 games. Connecticut, they're gonna fight hard this one. They really are.
Yeah, 5 games. Hey, 5 games with that's what the league wants, right? Sell a few more Doritos commercials. Good for them.
Yeah. Okay. Possible WNBA Finals matchup: Liberty and Lynx.
Yeah, I really went on a link.
That's gonna be a tough one. I mean, I want the Liberty to win, but Minnesota showed you they had the defense. They beat the 2-1 against Liberty this year. And
3-1 if you count the Commissioner's Cup.
Yeah.
I mean,
if that match happens, who do you think's gonna win? I know we got to get to the first round, but this is the appropriate time to get to the predictions right now. I mean, unless things update a little bit, but yeah, who thinks taking this one in the WNBA Finals if the Liberty and Lynx were to go at it?
That's a tough one. I mean, right now, I would say Minnesota if things stay the way they are. But it's a long tournament. You never know how it's going to pan out. And there's storylines on both sides. There's benefits of seeing both sides pull this off. So I mean, right now, in terms of the way the series went, Minnesota's depth really started to push them forward a little bit. Hines-Allen did really well. Courtney Williams' defense locked down the Liberty backcourt. So I think that at this point in time, you got to say Minnesota. But again, it's a long tournament, and the Liberty have proved folks wrong time and time again this season. Folks said there'd be a drop off. They really bagged the Liberty did on the idea of increased chemistry. Kind of propelling them forward this year, and that they're reaping the benefits of it. So good for them that they're cashing in on it. So, and they have not forgotten what happened last year. We were talking to Kayla Thornton after a game. It was after the Vegas game, and she remembered the very date. It wasn't just the game or whatnot, the event and whatnot. She remembered the date that Las Vegas celebrated on the Barclays Center floor. So this team has stuck around, and I'm eager to see where this chemistry leads. So, this point in time, I'd say Minnesota would take it, but can very easily be proven wrong.
You're right. It really can. And this is a brand new roster compared to the dynasty that was built in the 2010s. We cannot forget that.
Everyone would hope, right?
Okay, now let's get to talking about some baseball as well. As you saw, I don't know, well, obviously you've been locked in the Liberty coverage, but you had to follow baseball in some capacity because the Yankees have clinched a spot in the playoffs at the very least, but they're leading the AL East by 4 games over the Baltimore Orioles. While the Mets, on the other hand, they started off 24-35, and they got it together, and now they're one of the top 3 teams in the wild card. So who's had the most impressive season, the Yankees or the Mets?
I would say the Mets at this point, and it pains me as a Yankee fan to say that, but it's got to be the Mets because I've never seen a team win a World Series with just vibes alone, but the Mets do have that aura at this point, and the Mets saw their mistakes and they corrected them. The Mets saw what they were doing wrong and they were willing to do something about it. Meanwhile, you got the Yankees who routinely place Alex Verdugo in the starting lineup, routinely place Clay Holmes in high-profile situations and there just seems no willingness to kind of right the ship or make things right. They have a status quo. They think that we got 2 sluggers at the top of the lineup. Let's have them bail us out. And the real shame of it is, when they have been willing to make changes, we've seen progress. they put Gleyber Torres in the leadoff spot, and suddenly, he's kind of found his groove back a little bit. And, there are men on base for Judge and Soto to work with. So, but at the same time, they're not invoking these changes on a wider basis, and it's come back to bite them in the rear end a little bit. So I think at this point, the Mets kind of, they're more willing to work things out, and they hold their own well against these teams. And the real fact of the matter is the Mets have also done, in my opinion anyway, I feel like they did a better job of doing the ordinary things extraordinarily well. They handle their business against these bad teams. The Yankees at a point, they probably would have had the AL East wrapped up by now if they won just one more game each against teams like the Washington Nationals, the Colorado Rockies, the Chicago White Sox. These are teams that are sitting at the bottom of the division, and they could well wind up helping decide the AL East at this point, especially if Baltimore does a number on them on the series at the stadium this week. So, you know what? It's just unfortunate to see because, the early portions of this season suggested that there was something different about this Yankees team, but they've come back down to earth. They're trying to find it a little bit, but again, the Mets do a better job of doing the little things extraordinarily well. Like they sweep the Washington Nationals this week, a Nationals team all done and said for. The Yankees, on the other hand, they can't pull off the sweep of the Seattle Mariners, losing 3-2 yesterday. So I think that at this point in time right now, the Mets have the better shot at this point. I hate to say it, but that's the truth at this point.
Yeah, you're right. And the last few seasons, the wild card team has made it to the World Series. And don't forget, the Washington Nationals were back in 2019. They were like at least 11 games below 500, and they won the World Series after getting it together.
So of course,
that's one detail you can't leave out for us Mets fans. Like seriously, I mean, obviously, let's look at the remaining schedule with the New York Mets. They of course have the remaining series with the Philadelphia Phillies, but then they go on the road to face the Atlanta Braves, who's breathing down their neck by like 2 games for one of the NL wildcard spots. And then, of course, there's the Milwaukee Brewers, who already clinched the NL Central, but they're trying to, get the best record they can in order to, avoid a potential wild card battle.
I mean, the best case scenario for the Mets is that Milwaukee has nothing to play for at that point. And the Mets could also, in their defense, they could also if they handle business against Philadelphia and Atlanta, they can make sure the series is relatively meaningless for them too, because I see them settling in the 5 spot. I feel like they could beat out Arizona at this point. San Diego, on the other hand, I'm not so sure about, but hey, the Mets gave them a series last time around. So or at least kept things close the last time around. So I'm eager to see what they could do this time. But yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun to see. And again, the Mets have handled business last night against Philadelphia. It's all the key about the Mets is just finishing, because they had those they played the Phillies very, very, very well. If they held those leads last week, if they didn't lose in walk-off fashion last week, we could realistically be talking about them competing for the NL East. So I think that at this point in time, or at the very least, an outside shot. I don't want to heighten expectations a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy here, but at the same time, it's they're like the Yankees a little bit. They've blown a few leads where it's like, you had that one back, we could really things could have gotten really interesting here. In this case of the Mets, they could have been a little closer to the division lead. So I think that, they're flawed, but fun. So eager to see where this ends up.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that there's not that many fans in attendance. Yeah. That's kind of annoying that there are not that many fans watching the Mets, and they're making a run for the postseason. But obviously they're probably saving the money for the games that matter the most when they do make it to the playoffs.
I won't hope.
Yeah. Obviously, ever since, I don't know what it is, but the fans' attendance can do better for a team that's actually trying to fight for a playoff spot.
Well, look, far be it from me to judge. We get into these events for free. So what can we say about that?
Yeah, what can we say? And yeah, but it's not. I don't want to hype up expectations either. But if the Mets were to sweep the Philadelphia Phillies, or even at the very least win a series, they can still fight for the NL East at the very least.
Well, what are they now? 6 games behind?
They're 6 games behind. If they win the next 3 games, they'll probably be about 3. But it's going to be difficult because the Phillies, I already talked about the schedule, and the Phillies they have kind of like easy schedule, and the Atlanta Braves on the other hand they got the Miami Marlins, and then
Oh God, yeah. Put the idea of the NL East out of your head. I don't think that happens.
I never had it in my head ever since they were 24 and 35, so I'm not putting it in my head right.
Okay, see, that was smart. That was smart. But
even though they comebacks to win certain playoff spots have happened in baseball, I'm not going to say nothing about that.
I mean, six games with what, nine remaining. That's a little much. That's a little much. And you have to account for the Mets tax a little bit. Not only will they lose in the most heartbreaking fashion imaginable, because look no further than last week, they lose 2 walk-offs, I believe, to the Phillies. So I think that again, it's a valiant effort, and they can make some noises postseason, but I'm not exactly hopeful for the division.
The Mets will go as far as a batch of Starling Marte, and Jeff will do this out for the season, but they only go as far as the first player I just mentioned and Francisco Lindor go. And Lindor is having an MVP season. If Ohtani didn't have the 50-50 that he had last night against the Miami Marlins, Francisco Lindor could easily be a top candidate for NL MVP.
I think he should have it because, again, what always annoys me about the MVP debate is that, too often we give it to, the best player on the best team. You have inflated statistics and your team's won 100 games. Here's the MVP award. But just separate the award into most valuable player and most outstanding player. You take Lindor off the Mets, they're probably long eliminated by now. But I do have to give some credit to the rotation, by the way. They've been doing very well for themselves over the past few games. So they've really they've really stepped up. So I think that Lindor has made his case for sure. But again, I'm interested to see. Anything can happen. Again, like you had mentioned, we have seen wild card teams shock the world a little bit and get to the World Series. So eager to see how this turns out.
Kansas City, and what do you know? Kansas City, they're fighting for a playoff spot this year too.
Oh, look, that's another point because, look, you look at Judge's stats, and you look at Judge's stats, and you go, okay, that's MVP material right there. But at the same time, you remove Bobby Witt from the Kansas City Royals conversation. The way he has exploded, the way his development has exploded this time around. Where are the Royals without him? They're probably not fighting for the first wild card. I can tell you that much. So it's all about separating the V in MVP and the O in most outstanding players. So you know what? I don't know why they just don't do two separate awards. Put a corporate sponsor on it. It seems like a fantastic opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Ohtani had literally the best season for a baseball player you could possibly have. And this is a foreign player having over 50 home runs, over 50 stolen bases. You can't beat that. That's so tough.
I mean, look, the funny thing
as long as you watch baseball, how does that impress you as a journalist covering sports throughout the years?
I mean, how can you not be impressed? It's incredible. But it's amazing what he's been able to do. And I think the best part is, he gets the surgery, can't pitch anymore, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll just make my own separate club. How you doing? So I think that's incredible for what he's done. But then again, at the same time, you remove Ohtani from the equation. LA is probably still winning that division. LA is still probably playoff bound, but you can't take the props away from it at this point. This is the hand we've been dealt, and it's the hand we're going to work with. So again, eager to see where it turns out. It's more of a broader discussion. It just kind of stinks that I blame social media on this. Everyone's excuse me, forced into umbrella where if you respect what Ohtani does, you must hate Lindor. If you respect what Lindor does, you must hate what Ohtani does, and vice versa with Judge and Witt. Everything is argued in terms of black and white, in terms of broad strokes, and that's kind of ruined our discourse. So it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, it's our reality.
I don't blame you for thinking that way because Ohtani really changed the way we think about baseball from a pitching and batting perspective.
Hey, look, you're talking to a guy who misses seeing NL pitchers pitch. You're talking to a guy who should hate seeing the pitchers pitch, but Darn it, I always loved it when the Yankees went to an NL Park. All the guys were up on the dugout laughing. I remember when Mo walked in a run against K-Rod at Citi Field. I remember Andy Pettitte changing the course of the '09 World Series with a big hit there. So look, you got me there. I love seeing the pitchers pitch, but that's actually a great point in terms of value, terms of changing the game a little bit in terms of value to the league. But in terms of value overall, like again, you remove Ohtani from LA, they're still a division-winning team. But you take Lindor out of the Mets equation, they probably have 70 wins right now. So eager to see how the debate turns out, but should be fun.
Yep, it should be fun. Now, let's get to some NFL talks as the Jets managed to pull off a Thursday night football win against the New England Patriots, and we already seen 3 full games from Aaron Rodgers already. The loss against the 49ers is understandable because clearly he started bleeding for the Jets after the way the season ended last year. But then you get wins against the Tennessee Titans and the New England Patriots. What you thinking about the New York Jets after the last 3 games?
Handling business is the best thing you could say about them. Now, look, there's rarely, if any, I can't tell you if a must-win game in Week 3 in the NFL exists. I mean, there could be some extreme cases. You could see some this week. I don't know, like maybe Baltimore, who plays the Dallas Cowboys this week. Maybe the Ravens face one. But must-win games in the NFL in Week 3 are very, 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 very rare. But yesterday was a must-win for the Jets. And, it's a weird sense in a must-win because, beating the New England Patriots in this day and age is a thankless task. Beating the Patriots in this day and age is a thankless task in the sense that, you beat them, it's, you beat the awful Patriots. You lose to them, it's, wow, panic mode. What are you doing right now? But the Jets, that's a momentum-shifting win in the sense that, Thursday night, we've seen how many times we've been bamboozled by the Jets on Thursday night, be it through their own control or through factors far beyond it. Let's be real. They should have had that win against Kansas City last year in that Sunday night game. But, factors beyond their control really kind of worked that out. Although, I never like blaming refs for losses. If you're relying on refs to win a game, you've already lost. But that's another conversation entirely. Prime time for the Jets has always been, a nightmare. But at the same time, last night's game, they not only win, but they dominate the process. There's a semblance of the scary Jets defense fans have come to know and love. There were semblances of the old Aaron Rodgers that fans have come to know and love, turning Allen Lazard again into a elite receiver out there. So the Jets, they are taking care of business. The Tennessee game, not pretty, but effective enough. And that's all you need in this day and age. That's all you need at this time of year. That's all you need when you're a quarterback that lasted, 5 snaps the year before. And, that's all you need. Rodgers is doing everything the Jets could have asked for him, could have realistically, let's put it, asked out of him at this point. So eager to see where this ends up. The Jets now have 2 winnable games coming up in the next 2 weeks. They play Denver, I believe, next week at MetLife, and then they go overseas to play the Vikings. And then the moment of truth should come 3 weeks later when they host the Buffalo Bills at MetLife Stadium. So I'm eager to see where it turns out. But right now, so far, so good for the Jets. Again, so rare to have a must-win in Week 3, especially when you have a win under your belt already. But that was a must-win for the Jets, and they passed that test in absolute flying colors.
Yeah, they really did. And it's good to say Aaron Rodgers is back in the NFL for real this time, at least for the rest of the season. And since we're on the subject of talking about the rest of the schedule, why don't we make our win-loss predictions as far as how the rest of the season is going to go?
Mike and the Mad Dog action. I like it.
They're 2-1 right now. Week 4, they go up against the Denver Broncos. Is that a win or a loss?
Oh, that's a win. That for all intents and purposes, that should be a win.
Okay. Sorry about that. You have the international game against the Minnesota Vikings, who shut down the New York Giants, by the way.
Is that a badge of honor these days?
Well, outside the 2022 playoffs, not really. But yeah, that's the Vikings. Who you got? You got to win this one?
Yeah, I'll give that one to the Jets.
Okay. A home game against the Buffalo Bills, the Monday Night Football matchup.
Let me ask you something. Is there a bye between those games?
No, the Jets don't have a bye up until week 12.
I'll say that's a loss because I'm kind of a Bills truther. The Bills annoy me because if only in the sense because when I was in high school, I was the biggest Tony Romo apologist for years on end. And it's always annoyed me that Josh Allen hasn't faced the same kind of flack for never reaching a Super Bowl, if anything. But again, that's a whole other conversation for another day. So you can call me a Bills truther, but I think the Bills will take that one. So let's say 4-2. But ask me again when the rematch is, and I think it'll be a different story.
Okay. Road game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, yeah, that's a Sunday Night Football game on October 20th. You see the Jets win that one, and it's going to be in Heinz Field, by the way.
Yeah, let's give them a win.
Okay. Road, and then they have the rematch of the New England Patriots on October 27th. You see the Jets winning that one?
I do.
Okay, fair enough. Thursday, October 31st, against Houston Texans.
Ooh, happy Halloween. That's a loss.
Yeah, fair enough. Houston's improved a lot. Yeah.
Look, Houston against my better judgment was my Super Bowl pick this year. So, I have them losing to Detroit, but we'll see how great that turns out. But for the time being, I give it to Houston.
Okay. On the road against the Arizona Diamondbacks, November 10th.
Jets versus Diamondbacks. Now that'd be an interesting game.
November 10th.
Jets Diamondbacks. Are they playing football or baseball? What's the deal? But Cardinals. But
Cardinals. Excuse me. My bad. My bad. Cardinals. My bad.
No, it's fine. It's fine. That's funny. That made me laugh. I think Jets for the record. Jets will take that one.
Yeah. Okay. Sunday, November 17th, at home against the Indianapolis Colts.
Give another win. Jeez. Wow. Schedule maker did them a favor. My God.
Yeah. Week 12 bye week. Week 13 at home against Seattle Seahawks on December 1st.
Yeah, it's a win.
Okay. Sunday, December 8th, on the road against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, part of me wants to say is Tua back, but let's say it's a loss because divisional games are always something goofy always happens in divisional games, so we'll give them a loss there.
Yeah. And after December 8th, they go from Miami, Florida to Jacksonville, Florida to face the Jacksonville Jaguars on December 15th. You got to win that one or lose it.
Yeah, let's say a win there.
Okay. Home game against Los Angeles Rams on December 22nd.
What are we at right now for him? 10-5?
Mm-hmm.
I have a 10-5 right now, right?
Yeah.
That's good. Win.
Okay. Road game, December 29th against the Buffalo Bills, week 17.
As I said, let's give them the win there, 12-5.
Okay. And then you have the home game against the Miami Dolphins on January 5th.
Oh, wow. Extra game. I told you. Wow. Okay. My math was off. We'll give them a win. So that will make them 12-5, right?
Yeah, that would.
Okay.
But don't worry, I'm gonna have everything written down by the end of the show and make sure that you keep tabs.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's just about it as far as the Jets predictions.
Yeah, I think 12-5. Look, they're in a prime position to win the division, I feel. They would have been last year. They would have been last year if they had even a semi-competent quarterback out there. So again, there's no excuses this time around, injury notwithstanding. So eager to see how it pans out. As long as they take care of business. Look, they're not. If the NFL playoffs were determined by those who determine the college football playoff poll, the Jets wouldn't impress anyone with a schedule like that, and already a loss to San Francisco under their belts. But as Parcells says, you are what your record is. So let's see them back that up it's time to take care of business from the Jets' perspective. So far, so good. Keep it up.
Yeah. And what a year it's been for New York sports in recent years. I mean, of course, you have the New York Liberty relevant, you have the New York Knicks relevant, and Aaron Rodgers is starting to show flash of his old self for the New York Jets. And I'm bringing this up because I don't know if you saw that video from Liberty Fan TV's own Kenny Saint, where he's asking everybody which New York major professional team is going to be the next one to a championship. But for you, which major professional team in New York City will be the next one to bring a championship to the Big Apple?
Yeah, Kenny does great work. I feel it'll be the Liberty this time around. Like literally the soonest. But if you take this year's Liberty out of the equation, God, I gotta think about that. If you take this year's Liberty out of the equation, I would look. Everything in my heart's telling me to say the Rangers will do it because, but then again, this core has kind of jaded me so much at this point that that Ranger season almost for me I feel it won't even start till April because we know this team. They'll have a good regular season. We'll have a few laughs along the way. It'll be fun and everything, but it all depends on who and it all depends on who will show up in the postseason, which, we've had several, lapses in performance come playoff time. So Ranger season won't officially start till April, basically. So I want to say the Rangers, like on paper, it should be the Rangers, but, I've been jaded by this group too many times to give them that honor. But again, taking the Liberty out of the equation, I think right now, you'd have to go to Knicks at this point. Because what I think New York has been able to do this time around, from a Knicks perspective anyway, the Knicks are really banking on the concept of familiarity and, again, chemistry working in their favor because you not only have the Nova Knicks test this time around, you have, I believe it was New York Basketball on X or the Strickland on X coined this term, the Phoenix, in the sense that, they not only bring in Mikal Bridges, but they also have Kyda Bates-Diop. They have Cameron Payne. They have Landry Shamet, and they have Marcus Morris, who was formerly a Sun, didn't play with Bridges and company during that 2021 run. But in either case, they have a lot of former Suns on this roster, and they have Marcus Morris, who was brought back and knows the Thibodeau system. And no, he was not on the Thibodeau team. Excuse me. So scratch that. But familiarity is going to help this team now. I can't guarantee that all these guys will be on the roster by year's end. I guarantee at least someone is going to be shipped off to get some help in the interior because that's desperately needed at this point because the depth behind Mitchell Robinson right now is sorely lacking. And Julius Randle, Josh Hart, Precious Achiuwa, they can fulfill those roles, but not it appears on a permanent basis. Achiuwa deserves more of a look, but I think he sees himself more as a power forward rather than more as a pure center. But so I can't guarantee that those guys will all be on the roster by the end of the year. But this familiarity will pay huge dividends, I feel, at the start of the season because the Knicks come in second place last year on the Eastern Conference playoff bracket, but they wind up losing the quote-unquote losing the conference, finishing behind Boston by I think it was 14, 15, 16 games. So, you can really start to generate some momentum in the right direction by winning the conference, by taking that top seed. And the way to do that with so many new moving pieces is to, play with your familiarity. The Nova guys know each other. The Suns guys know each other. And the outliers in that picture, the Julius Randles, the Miles McBrides, the Mitchell Robinsons, the Jericho Simses, they have the benefit of working with Tom Thibodeau for a while. So there is chemistry, there's familiarity from the get-go, despite so many new pieces. I know it's said that it's not about how you start, it's how you finish, but how you start can really push you forward and really get you off to a good start. So if it's someone beyond the 2024 Liberty right now, I would say the Knicks.
Without question. I mean, come on now. I don't blame you for thinking that way. And you mentioned the part about how hockey doesn't start until April. I've been having that mentality ever since high school, where for me, hockey doesn't start until April if the Rangers, Islanders, or Devils are in it. So I don't blame you for thinking that way, Geoff. I really don't, my guy.
I mean, look, I'm fully guilty of, going crazy over November goals, but to each his own. To each his own.
Yeah, to each his own. And that'll wrap up this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for stopping by, Geoff Magliocchetti. I appreciate you coming on to talk all things New York sports as usual. I can't wait to see the work you do covering the New York Liberty playoff run. And hopefully, well, hey, you never know. You might see me at the WNBA Finals again like you did last year.
Absolutely. Mr. Lewison, you keep up the good work, sir. You do fantastic work over there. Just keep it up, man. It's really great to see. It's really great to see. It's great to see how your channel is growing. So again, keep up the good work.
Yeah, you keep it up too. And tell everybody that's coming to New York Liberty from miles early to Kenny to say this, do the same thing too. Pass along my blessing to them, as this is the playoff run that will determine the future of New York Liberty basketball for real.
Mm-hmm.
For Geoff Magliocchetti, Rafika Lewis on. We'll see you next time and enjoy the WNBA playoffs and the NFL season.